It's no secret at this point, I really like Wario in all his games. Wario Land, WarioWare, Wario Master of... Okay, maybe not that one. While his microgame mania seems to still be going strong in the WarioWare series, me and many others feel as if his treasure hunting platformer antics in the Wario Land series has fallen into the wayside in recent years. Wario Land: The Shake Dimension, released in 2008, almost 15 years ago, being its last entry as of now. But that hasn't stopped people from taking up the mantle themselves and making their own Wario Land inspired game to fill the gap. One of which actually released earlier this year. Pizza Tower, an indie platformer developed by Torre de Pizza. I've had my eye on this game ever since it was in demo status. I also recall talking about it briefly in my Anton Ball Deluxe review, when I mentioned that the main character of this game, Peppino, was an unlockable character. So now it is finally out, was it worth the wait? Well yeah, obviously, but I should go more in depth. The story here is pretty nonsensical. Peppino Spaghetti, the game's protagonist, is chilling out in his pizzeria when an evil tomato pie called Pizza Face gives our Italian the scare of his life, and tells him that a giant tower, the Pizza Tower, is going to blow up his place of work if he doesn't make it in time. So Peppino and another chef named Gustavo make haste into it to take on Pizza Face's subordinates on each floor, and eventually the Big Cheese himself to save the restaurant. It's so surreal, I love it. Pizza Tower plays very similar to the Wario Land games, Wario Land 4 in particular, so if you're acquainted with those titles, the controls should feel very familiar. Peppino could grab and attack enemies, body slam, perform an uppercut that can also be used as a makeshift double jump, sprint at breakneck speeds, perform a shine spark like super jump after building enough speed, and finally, you can also do this taunt thing, which can be used to parry attacks. Plus, if you hold down the button, Peppino can break taunts, which I don't think has much practical use, but it is fun to watch. The controls feel great. They may seem a little loose at first, but they're easy to adjust to. It's also really exhilarating to go fast in this game, especially during pizza time. More on that later. By defeating a bunch of enemies at once, you can build up a combo, which will award you with bonus points when it ends. And if it gets high enough, you can perform a super taunt by holding up and taunting, which will hurt all the enemies on the screen. I don't use it often though, personally. There's also some transformations which temporarily change up your moveset, such as being able to fly around as a ghost, roll around as a barrel, or might even be something as simple as replacing the grab with a firearm. There are also 2 levels where you temporarily switch to Gustavo and his rat companion Brick, who play slightly differently to Peppino. I do wish you got to play as them a few more times in the game though. These segments were really fun and creative. Pizza Tower has 5 floors, most of which have 4 stages each, and a boss to fight to get access to the next floor. In the main stages, similar to Wario Land 2 and 3, Peppino for the most part cannot die and only loses points if you get hurt. However, he does have a life meter during bosses. In order to fight that floor's boss, you need to find these things called toppings in the stages. This is Pizza Tower's versions of the jewel pieces in Wario Land 4. You're rewarded with $10 for every topping you find when finishing a stage, and you need a certain amount of cash to get access to that floor's boss door. I think I actually prefer these to the jewel pieces, as you don't need to be as diligent with collecting them. Even if you miss a few, you still might have enough cash left over to finish the game. Speaking of bosses, these are fantastic too. They're all challenging in their own ways and full of personality. There's also this janitor guy called Jerome you can find, who will allow you to open a staff only door and collect that level's treasure, which gives you a ton of points, and I think you can score a slightly better ending if you manage to collect them all. Each level has 3 secrets to find, which have small tasks for you to finish and will award you with extra points at the end, as well as 3 in-game achievements called chef tasks you can earn. And again, you're ranked at the end of every level, even in the boss fights, the best you can attain being the elusive P rank. So this tile definitely has some replay value to it. There are also these different colors and patterns you could dress Peppino in after reaching certain feats, which, similar to the ones in that pudding game Surae looked at a few months back, give me Chowder vibes, since the patterns stay in place as Peppino moves around. At the end of most of the main levels lies a Pillar John, Pizza Tower's version of the frog switches from, yet again, Wario Land 4. When destroyed, it will activate Pizza Time, and you have to hightail it back to the stage entrance within a time limit. You'll slowly lose points and areas you trekked through before may be blocked off during it. so you may have to take a new route that opened up to escape. If time runs out, Pizza Face will appear, and if he catches you, you'll be kicked out of the level, so try not to let that happen. But if you're feeling a bit gutsy, you can enter this pizza portal instead of exiting the stage to do a second lap and potentially earn more points for a better rank. Normally these are only available when replaying a level, but if you complete the tutorial stage under a certain time, you can unlock them all right from the get-go. I absolutely adore Pizza Tower's visuals. The game's freehand cartoony style is very fun to watch in action, and there are a few visual gags that made me laugh out loud. Some may think the graphics look like they were crudely put together, and maybe that was the case, but to be honest, I think that only adds to their charm. I also really like the title cards and jingles that play before each stage. The soundtrack is phenomenal too. It's all energetic and incredibly catchy. I constantly find myself listening to it outside the game itself. In fact, I'm doing that right now as I write this script up. Also, I think I noticed some instruments and sound fonts from other Wario games used in some tracks. It surely made me love the OST even more. In closing, Pizza Tower is a fantastic homage to the Wario Land series and a wonderful platform in its own right. I might even like it more than its source material, even if the game almost gave me a heart attack in some places. It's only available on Steam at the moment, but I still highly recommend it, even if you're someone who doesn't play games much on their PC. Also, consider buying its phenomenal soundtrack too. And the game seems to be doing really well. I've seen others give it similar praise, as well as a bunch of fan art and memes made of it, and that just warms my heart. You know, with all the attention this game is getting, Wario Land 3 being released on NSO, and another Wario Land inspired platform on the way, Anton Blast, and yes, I did support the Kickstarter for that, we might be in for a resurgence of this series, and I'm all for it.